Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is August the 28th, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. I know you probably just heard from me. This is on the same day. But look, I just told you guys about the Mr. Beast thing. So there's some shit I definitely want to talk about just a little bit, that I wanted to get into. And I figured, hey, I'll go ahead and talk about Pavel Durov because that was an update that I was just going to get to tomorrow. So we'll start there, and then I'll close out with the Mr. Beast thing. Been doing some research. All right. Our first story comes from Axios. Telegram. Telegram CEO Pavel Durov charged in France over illegal activity on the app, which is Telegram. Telegram and CEO Pavel Durov was issued preliminary charges in France Wednesday, shortly after being released from police custody. So obviously that's the big update, is that they did charge him, but they allowed him to go on bail. Bail set for 5 million euros, or about $5.5 million. And Durov was released, but ordered to check in at a police station twice a week, per a statement from Paris prosecutor Durov Dogpack404. So they are serious enough to be like, hey, you can't leave the country, dog. Like, we know you're a little international playboy with your abs and whatnot, but like, nah, you got to keep your little tech CEO ass here, right here. You ain't going nowhere. I mean, it still feels like they are definitely trying to make an example. It does kind of make more sense, though. I mean, we kind of vaguely touched on it, but like kind of thinking about it more, that France is going to be the one to step up to do it, because technically that's his like home like country now, at least, post him leaving 2014 Russia, via, per the whole social media thing, Russia thing, which is something I didn't really touch on. Like, I bet in his head, I bet this dude really thinks he's like Mark Zuckerberg times two, right? Because he made Russian Facebook. That shit got like yoinked from him, and then he made Telegram. So it's like, damn, I got famous twice. I made Lightning Strike twice. I mean, granted, we've talked about this before. Like, are you really like that skilled? Are you a tech genius or a genius in general? Or are you really just a guy who bankrolled a lot of money and you got lucky like one time, and then yeah, you managed to make that luck windfall you again? Wow, that's crazy. It's crazy what you can do when you have just pools of money. But anyway, back to Durov, back to, potentially, the charges. Maybe I should go over them again. Do we have them at the ready? Let's see. No, I don't. But I know that it's related to like terrorism. There's like child, or like CP. Let's just use the acronym there. So potentially a lot of stuff, but I do wonder if they really are just trying to do this to scare him, to like be like, hey, we want to see you actually take us seriously when we're talking about doing moderation on your app. Like, you have all these people, thousands of people talking and doing all this stuff. We just want to see you make more of an effort. I think that they know, like I said once again previously, that that's kind of a fruitless, frivolous thing, but it gives them something to give to their constituents to say, hey, we're trying to, keep your children safe. We're trying to keep, terrorists, away from you and keep you safe in that way, all this kind of shit. And, we did it by making sure that the CEO was going to actually go back and handle his app. Meanwhile, Telegram doesn't want to do that shit. And, they don't even want to give lip service. But speaking of lip service, I guess since we're kind of, doing a little bit of a weird episode, bonusy kind of thing, Mark Zuckerberg recently put out a letter, I believe this week or last week, whatever, more or less doing this weird kind of apology where he's like, yeah, Joe Biden made us like, do heavier COVID suppression, and I wish we didn't do that. And it's like, dog, that was the right thing to do, but okay. And then I think he said some other stuff, but I'm trailing off, and it really wasn't that important to me. But it kind of sounds like he was kind of making maybe some like backdoor concessions, and it just kind of made sense to kind of make this stance, or maybe he felt more safe to make this stance because we're kind of living in like a Elon Musk kind of tune world where you can do whatever, and like even though you're losing money and not there's no one doing ads on your shit, like at least you're the cool free speech guy. And maybe like Zuckerberg wants to like feel like that, and maybe he feels like he can kind of flex his muscles now post COVID and things like that, and things aren't going as bad at Facebook, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, we really didn't come here to talk about Facebook. I kind of just randomly thought about that and was like blah 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 blah. Last thing I wanted to talk about was actually I closed out on the Mr. Beast, Jimmy Donaldson shit. And I was like, okay, haven't heard from Dogpack. Dogpack404 kind of makes sense because, you know, we're talking about the cease and desist, you know, this Alex Spiro guy, they're really putting the screws to him, and probably other people. Turns out that a video dropped literally an hour ago from me, you know, doing this recording. So I sat down and I listened to it, you know, no third party this time. I'm locked in. And I gotta say, one, I've kind of had my critiques about how it was kind of goofy in the first video I had watched. This video was much tighter. It was almost like the, I forget what they're called, but like, you know, when they're doing the board and they have all the red string and stuff and they're putting it all together. This was literally like the PowerPoint internet version of that he had, and he just has all this stuff laid out. Now, am I going to get into any of the details of this stuff? Actually, no. This is because there's no verified source outside of what I watched in said video, but I gotta say, it was like, he dropped the curtain on some of the code name stuff that we've talked about, so you're hearing, actually, this is the person, da-da-da-da, blah, 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 and like, he at least is showing some semblance of the evidence that he has, and it's like, hey, I'm gonna wait to see what Jimmy, you know, actually comes out, Mr. Beast, what he's actually going to come out and say, and then I'll either add to that or refute that, whatever, and, you know, we'll see. I also have, he, like, talked about, like, nuclear options or whatever, and now there were still, like, you know, I would say, quote-unquote, comedic elements or whatever to it, but it was much better. Maybe this is just me being a fucking asshole critic millennial or whatever, but it was much more within my speed, and within, like, okay, I get it, you're gonna make a little aside, make it a little funny, you know, or talk about this to, like, show reference to Jimmy's character and, like, these random things, and he's, like, being goofy or saying really fucked up shit. Like, and it does help, though. It does show more light into him. Like, because someone like me, I'm only used to, like, the very new, reformed, I'm selling chocolate, I'm, you know, giving eyesight to kids and stuff like that. Like, that's the Mr. Beast I see a lot. But there's that Mr. Beast that grew up this whole time in front of us. Also, did finally get more confirmation. There was an HR. His mother, apparently, maybe not, I don't know, this is allegedly, I guess, apparently was running it. That I got answered in this video, I will say that at least, and that was informative to me. But it's like, that's so loose. That's so loose if true. So I will leave it there. I will tell you if you are interested to this and you want to dive in yourself, that is there for you. Dogpack404. I'm not actually even going to put any links. I usually don't anyway, so that's more of my style. But like I said, this is probably as much as I want to get tied to it for now. I will add, if you're not going to look into it or whatever, you're just going to, you know, be taking my word for it. This, he said, like, I told you that this was going to be a big video, but it seems like he's now changed it with, you know, the updates of things as they are. And he says, this is just a video I'm going to drop now. There might be one or potentially more videos I drop that was kind of more to the effect of the bigger things I was trying to get to or try to say. So, you know, we'll see how things go from here. But yeah, you could definitely tell, like, this was like more about just a lot of the more serious stuff. Not so much the like, oh, we're faking the games and blah, 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 but just really a lot of gritty shit. And like, once again, we're naming names, we're putting faces to things, and we're talking about some stuff. That's for sure. That goes down. But I definitely want to wait to really give more details until I'm talking from like a more verifiable source that I usually can go to. Like I said, even though I hate the fucking Daily Mail, it's at least a source I can say, hey, I got this information from here. You know what I mean? Y'all feeling me? You're walking with me? So yeah, that's the update. I know this is kind of like coming out of nowhere, but boop, 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 boop. breaking news, So there we go. Nice and short, very rare. I know I've been hitting you with a slew of big episodes, so technically this isn't so big, right? There you go. And I won't even chill here. So, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.